Hi, everyone. I'm AJ Cortese, a research associate at MacroPolo, the Paulson Institute's think tank. We recently published a four-part series on China's tech pivot from the era of consumer internet to what we classify as core innovation, which includes fundamental technologies that impact the real economy, with a focus on advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, biotechnology, energy, and infrastructure. For the better part of a decade, spurred by the mass proliferation of mobile internet and a hands-off regulatory approach, China's consumer internet industry spawned titanic companies that have become household names to Chinese consumers and international investors alike, including Alibaba, Tencent, Ant Group, Didi Chuxing, Meituan, and others. These companies pioneered massive platforms in e-commerce, social networking, fintech, ride-hailing, and food delivery. As these businesses scaled, they became cornerstones of everyday life in China. But beginning in late 2020, these consumer internet giants were facing more mature, saturated markets, which impacted their performance and resulted in a decline in revenue growth from the dizzying heights of the golden era of consumer internet. The negative impact of these secular trends were exacerbated by regulators' desire to rein in big tech's sprawling reach and anti-competitive business practices. This coincided with the government's desire for more tangible, fundamental innovation, perhaps best summarized by, "We wanted 5-nanometer chips, but got digital red envelopes." The shift towards core innovation technology manifested in the investment activity of China's state-backed funds in 2021 and the sector distribution of IPOs on the Shanghai Star Market, as well as the sector distribution of listed little giant companies. Here we see a distinct preference for technology solutions that transform the real economy. The two major challenges to successfully pivoting China's technology ecosystem towards core innovation are talent and commercialization. On talent, despite having the world's most STEM graduates, China actually suffers from talent shortages in key areas to the pivot. The Little Giants, a cohort of companies designated by the government to have promising innovation capacity, are the types of enterprises that need to be acquiring China's top STEM talent in the form of STEM PhDs. But as hiring data from this cohort shows, less than 1% of Little Giant hires were doctorates, and under 4% had graduate qualifications. China's thinly stretched premium talent pool is also concentrated in superstar cities and wealthy provinces, leaving a dearth of talent in many regions. More than half of the Little Giants are located outside of China's wealthiest areas, and the talent concentration means that they will have more difficulty attracting the skilled labor needed to push niche innovations in high-tech verticals. The effects of this imbalance show up in a preliminary look at China's biotech and pharmaceutical industries. Firms in wealthy regions where top talent is more abundant outperform their peers in the rest of the country. For China's tech pivot to succeed, Little Giants and similar core innovation companies will need to build stable businesses. Commercializing core innovation is a much more arduous task compared with consumer internet products. Solutions often need to be customized to a client's demands, requiring substantial user education and integration, compared to a one-size-fits-all consumer software app that can tap into a total market in the hundreds of millions. As a result of this challenge, Chinese core innovation companies will look to enjoy a much closer and more symbiotic relationship with the state sector than their consumer internet predecessors. At the height of the community group buying craze in China, when internet giants were plowing vast amounts of capital into the grocery delivery business to monetize their huge traffic base, state media blasted it as, quote, lazy innovation, pursuing cheap profits. The Little Giants, in stark contrast, are valued by the state for their emphasis on research and development spending and technical innovation. The pressure on these companies to churn out leading innovation in niche high-tech areas leads to a wholehearted commitment to product, but potentially at the detriment of the company's commercial development. Core innovation startups are facing a very immature, underdeveloped market to begin with, and so to neglect sales and marketing activities and prioritize research and development may leave companies producing products for a non-existent or unreliable market. This presents the "if you build it, will they come" problem. However, the state sector can provide a significant boost in helping these high-tech companies overcome the commercialization valley of death by providing crucial early customer relationships and procurement contracts, providing these nascent startups with the commercial foundation needed to scale. We've seen some examples of this in areas like big data management and industrial Internet of Things. Beijing's approach to unlocking this technology pivot have been multifaceted, but are increasingly aiming to solve the STEM talent bottleneck facing core innovation companies. But they're starting off on the back foot. as Chinese STEM PhDs show a strong preference for careers in academia rather than the innovative cauldron of the private sector. China's government has widely deployed talent attraction policies meant to provide subsidized salaries and housing for technical talents. But these incentives are formulated and implemented at the municipal government level. This means Chinese cities engage in fierce competition to attract the nation's best and brightest. But this every city for itself approach has led to an imprecise application of talent policies, with more affluent and resource-rich cities offering comparable subsidies to less well-off neighbors, further unbalancing China's geographic distribution of STEM talent. Here you can see how regions at both ends of the talent resource spectrum employ a similar level of talent subsidy. In Anhui province, Hefei offers another talent acquisition model. The local government managed to successfully invest in and attract high-tech companies, including electric vehicle upstart NIO and chip champion Changxin Memory. These companies' success led to a boom in local hiring, inspiring plenty of other Chinese cities to try their hand at venture investing. There have been some high-profile bumps along the road, notably involving the 10 billion yuan wasted by the Wuhan government on fraudulent chipmaker HSMC. Ultimately, the tech pivot will not be easy to execute, but it won't be for the want of trying. China's policymakers, investors, and tech entrepreneurs are all slowly embracing the fact that core innovation is the way forward for China's domestic tech industry, as the sun sets on the golden days of the consumer internet era.